I suspect you started your business because you had a passion, an idea, or a skill that you thought could solve a problem for someone else. And it worked. You acquired customers, you delivered value, and best yet, you now have an opportunity to grow your business beyond your wildest dreams. You can see a future for the company, how you could serve more customers, how you could hire more people, and how you could frankly make more money for your family. And I'm guessing that you're here today because you could see what's possible and you just need some help to figure that out. Now, for many small business owners, when they start to scale, they run into challenges. They make mistakes. They start to doubt their decisions and their leadership abilities. And when things get really dark and frustrating, they start to say, "Why am I doing this?" and consider giving up. They lose the passion for the business they worked so hard to build. Now, to illustrate this even further, I'm going to share some stories from 3 of my clients who all faced typical challenges when trying to scale. And maybe you could see yourself in some of these stories. John was the CEO of an IT consulting firm that had grown rapidly. But when I met him, sales were down. Now, they tried hiring more salespeople, but despite having more people, they were selling less. And to meet quota, their salespeople were selling anything to anyone, and most of those deals were not profitable. When John went to talk to an investor to secure some additional funding, the investor said, "Well, what makes your company special?" And he couldn't answer. And he said, "Well, if I can't tell an investor why we're special, how are we possibly going to convince a customer to work with us?" He knew that the company had lost focus and that they were no longer distinctive. So now here's my second story. A commercial insurance firm with 15 employees had a new owner, Kevin. He was young, he was dynamic, and he was full of innovative ideas on how to run the business. And every year that Kevin had been there, the company had grown. But when I met Kevin, he was frustrated. His growth had stalled because they couldn't hire more people to serve more customers. They advertised their job openings, they paid incredibly well, but they couldn't convince the desirable candidates to come and work there. And frankly, Kevin was starting to doubt his abilities to succeed. Now for my last story, it's about Sarah. She was the founder of an innovation consulting firm that had finally reached the $1 million mark in revenue, impressively without any employees and almost no marketing. She was so well known in her industry that clients came to her. As more clients wanted to work with her, she started to dream of building a business that she could sell. But she knew that in order to do that, she was going to need to be able to clone herself and figure out how to market the company. As she started to take some steps towards scaling, she hit a roadblock. She realized her customers only wanted to work with her, and she didn't know how to take her expertise and her personal brand and transfer that to the company. And she knew she was never going to be able to sell this firm if it was dependent on her. Now, did any of those stories resonate with you? Do you see yourself in any of those? Growing a business is hard. It's frustrating. You know there's a gap between where you are and where you want to go. And you know that the skills and activities that got you here will not get you to that next level. However, maybe you've started to make some changes. Maybe you've invested in hiring more people with different skills, or invested in marketing, or started to put documents and processes in place. And that's great. That is absolutely what you need to do. However, it's not easy, because anything that requires you doing something different involves change. and change is hard. But that's why I'm here, to share my insight to help you pull this all off. There is a lot at stake. And maybe you've read some of the statistics. Only 9% of small businesses, only 4% of women-owned businesses ever make it past the $1 million revenue mark. Now, if you look at all the people in this room, you sit there and say, there's maybe 2, maybe 3 of you who are ever going to reach that level. And only 7,500 companies total in the United States ever earn more than $5 million in revenue. Now, there's a lot at stake personally as well. You've put so much time, energy, and maybe even your own money into building this business. You don't want it to fail. I had a company that I had to close once, and I mourned. It was doing great, then we hit some larger competitors, and then we declined. I'm still not over that. Now, despite what it may seem like that I'm trying to depress you, I'm not. I want you to be one of the companies that succeeds in leveling up their business. Now, I chose the stories of John, Kevin, and Sarah because bringing in new customers, attracting and retaining employees, and transferring power to the business so it's not owner-dependent are 3 of the most common challenges a business owner will face when trying to scale. So, in my 20-plus years of helping small businesses grow, I realized that there was one strategic exercise that they could do or they could perform that would help them solve all 3 of those challenges. Now, before I get to what that exercise is, I want to tell you a little bit about how I got to that insight, because it involved a mindset shift that once I understood it, helped my clients grow faster and easier. I am absolutely passionate about helping small business owners realize their dream of growing their business. Small business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, they are all my heroes and my sheroes, because I so admire anyone who takes those kinds of risk and has that creativity and the perseverance and the hustle to build something. And I really admire the fact that they employ people, allowing those people to earn a living for their family. To me, that is heroic. But it's not easy. And that's why I feel compelled to share my insight on how to do this faster and easier. For John, at the IT consulting firm, they had no idea who their ideal client was anymore, and they didn't know what their unique value was. So I told them, let's take a step back and focus on answering the fundamental question of why should a customer work with you? So we interviewed their existing clients, and we asked them, well, what value do you get from the firm, and why do you enjoy working with them? And with that information, we were able to distill that down and identify their brand and create a strategic plan in how to help them develop it and move it forward. Salespeople were then able to prospect with the right customers. Everyone in the company knew how to tell the brand story. But more importantly, John really stepped up his leadership skills by focusing on the brand. He would walk into every meeting and he would throw a card down on the table. On one side was the brand promise. On the other side were the core values. And anytime they had a decision to make, they would evaluate it through that lens and say, is this going to strengthen our brand and help us get to where we need to go? And are we adhering to our core values? If not, don't do it. Now, for Kevin, at the insurance company, he couldn't grow because he couldn't hire. No matter what they said, they couldn't convince ideal candidates to come and work there. And frankly, candidates had never even heard of this small insurance company, so they weren't even considering it. They needed an employer brand that would help them stand out from all the other companies in the area that were trying to attract that same talent. So we talked to every single employee to find out, what is the culture? What do you love about working here? And what would motivate someone to join? With that information, we could then craft messages that would attract an ideal candidate to come and work there. Now for Sarah, with the innovation consulting firm, she needed to get a clear understanding of her unique skill set and the value she could deliver to clients. With that, she then knew who she needed to hire and train in order to have the company not be dependent on her. Looking back at all of my small business clients, who all faced similar challenges to these three, I came to the epiphany that if they had taken the time to stop and identify and communicate their brand up front, they could have scaled faster, easier, and made a lot less mistakes. Because the brand is the voice of your business strategy. They're two sides of the same coin. Now, the business strategy is internal focused. It deals with your revenue model and your customer segments and your operational structure. The brand, the flip side of that coin, has an external focus. It's the experience people have when they deal with your organization. And it deals with your go-to-market strategy or your customer journey, or it deals with the relevant messages to attract customers and even employees. The brand strategy gives you the opportunity to bring your business strategy and your future vision to life. So, the CEO and the business owner must act as the steward of the brand. They absolutely must identify it, communicate it, and walk the talk in all of their decisions and behaviors. Because once understood, the brand gives you the gift of clarity and focus. So you can attract more customers easily and hire more people and convince bankers and investors to lend you money for growth. Now, before I move on, I have to say, I wasn't always a true believer in the brand. I went to school, I studied marketing, I worked for a large corporation, and I thought branding was just something nice to talk about. It wasn't until I started consulting with these small businesses that I became a true believer, that I saw how essential the brand was to guide them forward. For John, at the IT firm, results were tremendous. Once they knew who their ideal customer was and the unique value that they could deliver, their salespeople could prospect with the right people and profitable sales increased. In fact, 5 years later, the company was acquired for its strong performance. So what allowed the company to turn sales around and grow again? Identifying and communicating the brand. For Kevin, at the insurance company, they also had great results. Armed with their employer brand and messaging, the executive team quickly went out and hired two great new people, to come in and help them grow again. So again, what helped them get unstuck and start to grow again? It was identifying and communicating the brand. And finally, for Sarah, she also excelled. Once she had clarity around her unique skill set and her brand, she then hired her first employees to tackle the client work. And then she felt much more comfortable investing in marketing and in getting more involved in business development. So let me end by saying that the biggest mistake you could make while trying to scale your business is failing to identify the brand. The brand matters. It holds real power to tell your story inside and outside the company, to inspire and motivate change, to stay focused and move forward on where you want to go in the future, and to attract customers and attract employees. But building a strong brand takes commitment. It's a lot like exercising. You cannot stop or you lose strength. So it takes time, it takes commitment, it takes consistency, and it takes investment. But it's so worth it. So let me ask you, have you identified your brand, and is it giving you the focus and clarity you need to go from where you are now to that future that you envision? If not, I invite you to take the time to identify the brand. It's never too late to do that. So you can continue to be the hero to your employees, your family, and most importantly, to yourself to honor your dreams. Thank you.